Hi, I'm Cynthia Kahn, founder of Amused Now, and I'm here today with Robert Hamilton from the rock group The Hamiltons. Hey, Robert.
Hey, what's happening? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing fabulous. How about you?
Wonderful. Glad to be here.
I'd like to say welcome back, Robert.
Thanks for having me back. It's a pleasure and an honor.
Well, when you were here last year, you had just released your album In Cranford We Trust, which is dedicated to your childhood friend, Cranford Hamilton. So, for those of us who are in the audience and don't know about the Hamiltons, why don't you give us the backstory?
Absolutely, it'd be my pleasure. Cranford Hamilton Nix. Nix was his last name. Was my very best friend, and how I met him was very simple. He came up to me in high school and said that I was a star, and that he was going to help me become one. And I said, "What are you talking about? I don't play anything." And he's like, "Not yet." And so started a fast friendship, and he took me over to his dad's apartment building that his dad had built, and they lived in one of the apartments. And we started playing some old records from the 50s, Buddy Holly, Elvis Presley, um, Bill Haley and the Comets, things like that. The Summertime Blues, he escapes me right now, but Eddie Cochran. And then we graduated to the 60s, to the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, and various other like one-hit wonders. And the whole point of that was showed me how melodies and music went together with simple chords, that you don't need to be a Rhodes Scholar to create good music. You just need to have it in you. And in order for it to come out of you, you just need to know a few basic uh, rules of the game. And so we worked for days, weeks, months, off and on, working on these chords, and we immediately just started writing our own songs. And I was the only one that Cranford ever wrote with. And I'm very grateful to this day for him and his friendship to me. He brought lot of bright light into myself at a time when there wasn't a lot. So it gave me hope and inspiration. And all these years later, he's passed away 13 years ago. The In Cranford We Trust record, which was released last year, was a tip of the cap for me to say thank you. And so what I did is I took a bunch of his old demos that were on cassette tapes. Some of us remember those. Most of our people watching this may not, but it's precursor to a compact disc, a little tape, and had two little holes. And anyway, we had a little jam box at the time before iPods and and whatnot, and we just worked on these songs, and the songs that I actually picked for the record were his songs, and so I just kind of finished them for him. And that was a year ago, and when it was released a little over a year ago on January 17th, 2014, which was his birthday. And then this year we released Angels in Love on January 11th, which is my birthday.
That's such a touching story.
Ah, thank you.
As you mentioned, your latest CD, Angels in Love, that you released in January on your birthday, was also released to rave reviews. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. We've had a lot of really good press. Being an independent artist, it can be very challenging. But the good thing about it is if you work really hard and get your name out there and your material's good, your product, which obviously music, which our songs are really good. We've gotten some really good reviews from several different magazines. Shutter 16 magazine, they were blown away by it. We've been approached by really a lot of different publications that have given us really good reviews. We actually had a local guy here, Gary Graff, who's a national writer. He's very esteemed. He he reviewed our record and he really liked it. And he did a write-up before we did our CD release party. at Callahan's, which is a local place, very esteemed club, by the way, where a lot of national, like Johnny Winters played there, and when he was alive, and Jimmy Vaughn, Stevie Ray's brother, plays there every time he comes through. So it's a real hard place to get into, and we sold it out. Unfortunately, there was people that were turned away; they couldn't get in. Um, so we've gotten really good reviews locally and on the national level, and internationally. We've had a couple of people add songs off our record to their playlist. A gentleman in Italy who runs a jazz station, which we're the farthest thing from jazz, but blues, jazz, rock and roll. I think if it's from your heart and from your soul, then you can relate to people in different genres, and it's honest, and so that's what people get out of our music, and especially this Angels in Love record.
And I know you have a copy there, so why don't you put it up to the camera so we can see?
Make sure I got it the right side up. What we have here, move up a little bit, show you. It says the Hamiltons. It's kind of hard to read.
We can't see it. You got to hold it up to the camera. Up, higher, higher. Yeah. Down, down, down.
Right about there?
There. Yeah.
All right. Well, it's a diagram, Cynthia, and you can hardly see. You have to really look at it, but it's the same thing. Upside down is right side up, is forwards is backwards. That's what's great about the CD cover.
Okay, pull it straight back just a little bit. Let's see if we can tell. Oh, yeah. There you go. Cool.
So anyway, with that being said, I'll get back into the picture. With the ambiogram, it's really neat. It kind of invokes some old like 70s style, which is really the what we were going for with this record and this recording. Rock and roll the way it was meant to be. Rock and roll that made you smile when you heard it. Rock and roll that helped you to tap your toe and forget about your problems, even though the singer might be singing about problems. And Cranford Hamilton Nicks taught me that in order to be successful as a songwriter, you have to be true and you have to be an artist. You don't necessarily need to be the best singer. You have to just write a song that people can relate to. And the Hamiltons recently opened for Rick Springfield, and Rick was a great guy to talk to. His songs are autobiographical, which is why he sold 25 million records, even though he's long been like in the top 40, but he's still making the rounds, still touring regularly, and he's got avid fans. And the reason why his songs are still around is because they're real. That's what we have here. Highly doubtful we're going to sell 25 million records, but what we do have are songs that I've lived these songs, and Cranford lived a couple of them. A couple of them are from back when it's him and me, but a lot of these songs are songs that I've lived, and I've lived in actually more recently, which is kind of eerie. So hopefully people out there will relate to them because they're good. They're good. The production's good. And, they're great choruses. It's a good rock and roll record.
Robert, I absolutely love the breakout hit and video for the single Since You've Been Gone. Jim McCarty's guitar solo rocks. Tell me more about this song.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it. The video came out really well. Jim McCarty, there's two rock stars named Jim McCarty. One plays drums for the Yardbirds, which is the band that spawned all the English guitar greats, from starting with Jimmy Page, Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck, and then it eventually morphed into Led Zeppelin. That's not the Jim McCarty we're talking about. We're talking about the Jim McCarty that was the original guitar player for Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels. Jenny, Take a Ride, Little Latin Loopy Loo, Devil with the Blue Dress. Anyway, Mitch had left the Detroit Wheels, went to Vegas, and left him in New York. And so Jimmy McCarty was friends with Jimi Hendrix and got to know him recording at the record plant in New York. Jimi Hendrix suggested to Buddy Miles, who had a band called Buddy Miles Blues Express. Buddy was a great drummer. He was like a jazz blues drummer. And so Jim McCarty, my Jim McCarty, that played on our record, he took Jimi Hendrix's spot in Buddy Miles Blues Express. and then ended up in Los Angeles with Carmine Appice and Tim Bogart from Vanilla Fudge and started a band called Cactus. Cactus is Eddie Van Halen's favorite band. Jim McCarty's Eddie Van Halen's #1 influence on guitar. One of the Cactus songs, Parchman Farm, Van Halen ripped it off for Hot for Teachers, the same idea of the song, only Van Halen actually had a hit with theirs. So a lot of people don't know Jim McCarty. He was in a regional band out of Detroit called the Rockets that Eric Clapton actually got signed in the mid-'70s, late '70s, maybe '77. And Jim is just really, he's a fine guitar player. All the famous people, well-known, from Billy Gibbons to Joe Bonamassa to Warren Haynes, when they come through town, they call Jim and they want to play with them. They want him to sit in. And so I wrote this song called Since You've Been Gone, and I kept hearing Jim McCarty playing on this song. And so I just figured, well, I'll call him up. I'm friends with him. I called him, and he wasn't doing anything. He happened to be home, and I said, hey, I got this song. It's got your name on it. Come on down and pay your session fee. So he came down and he cut the thing. We never heard the song at all. Didn't send him a tracker. He doesn't do computers. So he came down, heard the track the first time, and started playing something. And I said, that's not what I want. I want to, the Jim McCarty where you're more Chuck Berry. Think your old band, the Rockets. And then next thing you know, he ripped the guitar lead, and it was amazing what he did. It was like magic, and lightning was in a bottle in that room for that hour. in an hour. I mean, doing the whole track, which is unheard of. Never heard it before, and he nailed it. And so we asked him to play in the video, and he said sure. And then he actually even played our CD release party. But then people were starting to ask him, are you in this band? Are you in this band? So we kind of just said, okay, you know what? We had some fun with this, and we're friends, and we don't want to share any of the band stress type of thing. He's got a very well-acclaimed blues act called Mystery Train. They play all around town, and he's playing with Cactus again. So he's got plenty of stuff happening, but he was gracious enough to play with us on this track and the video, and also our CD release. We were very lucky to have him. It was really awesome.
It was.
It was cool.
I also can't sit still when I listen to Hey Little Girl. Tell us about that song too.
Oh, that's great that you like that. That was actually another song I heard Jim playing on, but he elected just to play on the one track. Hey Little Girl is a great song. It's actually the song about a girl that steals a guitar from a guitar player who makes his living in the band. And when I was writing the song, it had old lyrics to it that didn't really make any sense. So when I was writing the song for the album and reworking the lyrics, I pictured my guitar player, our guitar player in Hamilton's, Bobby Black Hamilton, and some of the questionable ladies that he might have dated in his life. He's actually got a great girl now that he's with. Her name's Sugar Bee. Anyway, Bob's had some questionable girls, and he actually had a guitar stolen before, as well as Cranford did too. So it was kind of like mixing both of their stories together, and you're having some fun with this girl. You meet her at the show, and you end up hanging out after the show and whatnot. And then we wakes up the next day in true rock star form. The guitar's gone. So what do you do? Because you got a gig that night. So you're scrambling around. You're looking everywhere for the girl, but really it's the guitar, because you need your guitar so you can go, earn your living and whatnot. And so it's really just kind of a fun song, and we thought it came out really well. So glad you like that one.
Yeah. You also have your own label, Soulfire Records. So how's it going with the label, and is there any new artists that you want to plug?
Absolutely. Soulfire Records is actually it's based. I built a sound stage and a recording studio. I'm still working on the recording studio in my backyard, actually, out here just outside of Ann Arbor, Michigan. I actually had a pole barn. It was doing nothing, and so and there's a completely furnished one-bedroom apartment in there with a king-size bed in it. And that's going to serve as the sleeping quarters for when we get the recording underway. And I also have a small little cottage in the very back of my property to be able to sleep 4 people. So we'll be able to host probably up to 10 people at a time to come do recording in the future. We also have a sound stage, and it's like doubles as like really a small private venue. So if people want to come do a showcase, maybe for some management or for some other label people, whatnot. I mean, really, the sky's the limit. And Soulfire Records, whereas we're just kind of getting off the ground where the Hamiltons kind of kicked it off, I've got a feeling now when you say, are there any new artists? We're actually working right now with some very big names in the industry of people that have sold 1 million records. And I'm doing a separate project, so I think it's that's going to be. We don't have a name for it yet. We're not exactly sure, but it's kind of a top secret project. But I'm working with people that are very well connected in the industry that want to try to make a hit record. You know, we're in the processes of discovery right now with the material, and we just had a wonderful meeting about it tonight, and we're real excited. And so the label is actually going to turn into this full-scale thing within the next 6 months is what I'm really hoping. My dream with this label, Cynthia, is simple. To establish myself as an artist, either with the Hamiltons or maybe with this solo project that I'm doing, so I can open the door up to be able to sign artists and put money into the artist up front without taking their publishing and without stealing their dream. I have to tell you, and I'm not going to mention the name, but I was ripped off by somebody recently, and there's a lot of these people out there, unfortunately, that said he could get us played on mainstream radio. And I sent him a bunch of CDs and sent him a weekly payment, and he was sending me these charts, and it looked like we were charting on this chart. And I started doing some follow-up. I initially did a search on this company, and it came back okay. I didn't see anything negative. And then I did follow-up on it, because I started my suspicions because I wasn't selling any records out of it. And so come to find out, these charts he sent me were fake. And the gentleman that that's kind of guiding my solo project at this time pointed out to me that that's not a real chart, that the industry standard is Billboard. And you can be an independent artist and get spun on Billboard, but it takes a lot of hard work. So I want all my independent artist friends out there to just keep working hard and don't ever sell out. So back to my goal for the label. My goal is to be able to find an artist that I like, that I think can make a career out of this wholeheartedly, and basically invest in them and create packaging and a logo and branding, and do pre-production on their recordings, and then record it, and then work on a whole show, a whole line of merchandise. And say if it was like, just say if it was like $50,000 to get that whole ball of wax going, and then have them sign a deal with me to where I would get half until they paid me back, and then after that, just really only 10%, and own none of their publishing. So they get to keep because songs are like kids. And so every one of these songs on the Angels in Love record are like children of mine. So to sell your kids or sell what's part of you is like selling your soul, and I refuse to do that, and will never do that. And I would never want anybody else to do that. And I've heard so many horror stories. You know, it's a wonderful age to be in a do-it-yourself environment, but also you have to be wary, because I've learned the hard way over this last year and a half that you, just because you think you might be spending good money on advertisement, because I'm in a separate daytime business that's good, doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. So I've learned a lot of things the hard way, and be very careful, my friends out there, on who you're going to hire to promote your music. Really do a thorough background check, and then sleep on it, do whatever you do before you rush into anything. Because there's more fake people out there than real. Unfortunately, it's just the world we live in. My goal is to create a modern-day Motown with Soulfire Records, where music is all that matters. And when you do what you love, you're not worried about money, and you usually have enough money to live. So that's really the goal here is to create something that's viable for many decades to come. So hopefully, one step at a time, we'll meet our goals.
You do good work, Robert Hamilton, and you have a wonderful heart.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you.
You know that I wish you all the best, and it was wonderful catching up with you tonight.
I can't thank you enough, Cynthia. Your voice for the independent artists. We need more people like you. We really do. There's more power, strength in numbers, and you know, doing it yourself is great in this world, but there's always strength in numbers. So people like yourself and like these other independent publications and people that promote independent artists, we need more of you. And let me tell you this, when I become a major artist where I'm not considered independent, I will always be independent in the fact that nobody's ever going to own me. I'm never going to sell my soul, and I will always help the little guy. Because you know what? We're all the little guy, and that's what makes this world a better place. Music is a gift, and it's not a right, and it's a gift that we've been given in our lives, and it creates so much happiness and joy. And if I have one goal with what I'm embarking on in this with this Hamilton's journey and beyond, is to give the music back to the people where it belongs and to put some light in a dark industry, which is why there's so many independent artists, because of the fact that the industry is controlled by very few people. And these things I've found out since I've really got into this wholeheartedly of how to try to break through. And it's a very difficult process. I may or may not do it. But one thing I will always do is I will always be grateful for the gift that I've been given to be able to play, create, write, and help people smile with music. And that to me is why you should be commended for doing what you do. And I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, and I appreciate you. You have a wonderful evening, and I know that we'll be in touch again.
Oh, we will for sure. Thank you again.
Good night.
Good night. Bye.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Kahn, founder of Amused Now. This featured artist presentation has been brought to you by Amused Now Entertainment, a website that enables artists to profit from their creativity. To learn more about Amused Now, visit us at www.amusednow.com or email me at ccon@amusednow.com.